right now on the National Weather Desk.
And liftoff, the crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon.
The Artemis II crew begins their historic journey around the moon.
It's our next step to go to Mars and beyond.
Severe storms could return to the Midwest, while winter isn't over yet up north. Flooding leaves basements and farms in western New York underwater.
But this event has been just the sheer amount of water in a very short amount of time.
Northern Michigan is still recovering from an ice storm 1 year ago.
Something that changed the landscape forever.
The steps drought-stricken states are taking before wildfire season.
Things are just crunchy and crispy right now.
And why the sky turned orange on a popular Greek island.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome again to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Astronauts on board the Artemis II are now in the second day of their lunar mission. That's the message from the crew.
Yeah, the vehicle is very, very quiet. Feels good. Outstanding.
That's the message from the crew just hours after yesterday's launch at 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time from the Kennedy Space Center. But the astronauts aren't in space yet. They are still in Earth's orbit. Later today, they will perform what's known as a translunar injection burn, sending their Orion spacecraft out of orbit and toward the moon. That would take them farther from Earth than any humans in more than half a century. And so far, the only known problem was with the spacecraft's toilet. The crew had to use a backup system until it was fixed overnight. The toilet is actually the very first one with a real door on a space mission. Mike Magnoli was at the Kennedy Space Center yesterday for the historic return to space.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon.
Artemis II blazing across a powder blue sky, 4 astronauts inside the Orion space capsule riding atop Boeing's Space Launch System rocket. The crew will orbit the moon, including the mysterious dark side. We haven't targeted the moon since the 1970s.
Integrity, AMT high.
Artemis II launched from Pad 39B, which has ties to the Apollo program. So this mission's so cool because it touches the past and the future and the goals that NASA has of pushing us even further into space.
Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Later missions in the Artemis program will seek to put astronauts on the lunar surface again, and then on to Mars. But first, Christina Koch will be the first woman to circle the moon. Victor Glover, the first black astronaut to circle the moon. Jeremy Hansen, the first Canadian to circle the moon. Reed Wiseman is the crew commander.
I think the nation and the world has been waiting a long time to do this again. And on behalf of myself, Victor, Christina, Jeremy, we are really pumped to go do this for this entire team.
At the Kennedy Space Center, I'm Mike Magnoli reporting.
As you just heard, this lunar mission is not just about returning to the moon after more than 50 years, but also advancing our knowledge and exploration of space. It's a topic Emily Gracie explores on this week's episode of Off the Radar.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
It's been 57 years since Apollo 11 rocketed into space, carrying the first humans to the surface of the moon.
It's one small step for man.
A mission that defined an era.
One giant leap for mankind.
An achievement that for a moment united and inspired a nation. When the Apollo missions ended, we didn't stop exploring. We built space stations. We launched telescopes. We learned how to live and work in orbit. But we stayed close. For more than half a century, no human has traveled beyond low Earth orbit. No one has ventured back into deep space until now. This week, NASA launches Artemis II, a mission that will send 4 astronauts farther from Earth than any humans have traveled since the Apollo era, around the moon and back again. Not to revisit the past, but to begin something new. Because Artemis II isn't just a return. It's a stepping stone into deep space, testing the systems, the technology, and the limits of human exploration.
The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
You can listen to this episode of Off the Radar right now. Find it on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else that you get your podcasts. The Midwest is once again facing an enhanced risk of severe storms today. Today it is the Windy City who is on alert as the Storm Prediction Center issued a level 3 out of 5 for that area in orange. Milwaukee and St. Louis face a slightly lower level 2 risk, but today's storms still capable of producing a few tornadoes and some damaging wind gusts. And to the north, winter is back for the folks in the northern plains and Great Lakes. Various winter weather alerts are posted from eastern Montana to northern Michigan. Northern Minnesota could get up to 8 inches of snow, while an ice storm could be the biggest problem in Wisconsin. And that ice storm warning there comes 1 year after an ice storm crippled northern Michigan. Mark Scholeft has more from Traverse City.
This type of ice accumulation added up to 100 times the weight on the branches and led to conifer trees snapping completely, hardwoods that were losing branches.
Snapped off tens of thousands of trees all across more than a dozen northern Michigan counties.
Something that changed the landscape forever.
While individual homeowners certainly dealt with downed trees, no one had to deal with as many as the DNR.
This impacted over 900,000 acres of state forest land, 3,400 miles of state roads, 19 state parks, 54 state forest campgrounds, 169 boating access sites, and over 3,200 miles of trail.
The DNR dealing with debris and what's left after the storm, while also taking steps to replace what was lost in it.
We're prioritizing those efforts in reforestation on red pine and jack pine forest types, and looking for scalable solutions and restoring northern hardwood and oak forests as well.
A lot of work already done, a lot more to do.
And parts of western New York are still drying out following severe storms from Tuesday night. This is what it looked like near Rochester, where rain sent swollen creeks over their banks. And check out what happened to this farm 40 miles southwest of the city. The farmer says it took just 10 minutes for the water to flood her land. Back in the Rochester area, Natalie Castleton spoke with a woman who had 2 feet of water in her home.
Many Monroe County basements are drying out after Tuesday's severe thunderstorms caused flooding trouble for homeowners like Andrea Butler.
Water issues are no joke.
Butler says she first heard an alarming noise coming from the basement of her Greece home Tuesday evening.
We have a walkout basement, and the water was coming up through the shower and through the underneath the toilet, and it just kept pooling through.
Butler tells me her home backs up to a wetland, and the water has since receded a bit.
The firefighters came and pumped out our indoor pool that we don't use, and it was 2,000 gallons of water, they thought. So, yeah. Wow. A lot of water.
Over in Brockport, the fire chief says its members were busy responding to an influx of calls for flooded basements and roads.
The saving grace for this event has been that there hasn't been a lot of wind.
Leggett says there is usually a fair amount of spring flooding each year, but not to this extent.
But this event has been just the sheer amount of water in a very short amount of time.
And a look at our weather across the nation. We're going to focus on the hometowns of the 4 astronauts on the Artemis II mission. We start in Baltimore. That's the hometown of Commander Reed Wiseman, a 27-year Navy veteran. Charm City is looking at cloudy skies today with afternoon temperatures in the 50s. Pilot Victor Glover was born and raised in the Los Angeles area. The City of Angels looks to have a pretty typical day of early April weather, with skies being mostly sunny and a high of 71 degrees. That sounds nice. Mission specialist Christina Cook was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She spent most of 2019 on board the ISS. As for the Grand Rapids area, expect some rain showers today and highs in the upper 60s. And finally, mission specialist Jeremy Hansen is from London, Ontario, in Canada, about 100 miles west of Niagara Falls, which is our closest camera to the town. It's a similar forecast for both cities. Expect a light rain during the day with those highs in the mid-50s. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, managing wildfire risk. Sometimes it's best to turn to the experts for help cleaning the forest. Plus, a look back at a tornado that upended an Arkansas community 3 years ago.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We're tracking a little bit of wet weather over southern New England during the morning hours today. That burst of rain will be moving out during the course of the day, and it comes back at us as a warm front. This will be late in the day into the evening hours. That's 8:30 tonight. There's a little bit of shower activity and a wintry mix in northern New England. Now, the warm front's going to try to punch through on Friday. If we see temperatures back into the 60s to near 70, it's not until very late in the day. It will be slow for the clouds to break, but look for brighter skies by afternoon.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Much cooler for your Thursday across most of the Mid-Atlantic, with the exception of down towards parts of Virginia, where the warmer air is still going to be in place. As this front retreats, we'll still be looking at the chance for a few showers, and then finally a warm-up again as the sun will return for your Friday. But Thursday, cooler and cloudier for much of the region, right there along the Maryland-Virginia border, where 80s to the south in Richmond could still mean just 50s for Baltimore.
I'm meteorologist Lauren Oleski with a look at your southeast forecast for Thursday afternoon. A bit steamy across parts of the southeast. Temperatures mostly in the 80s. Could be a few areas that stop in the 70s, but warm for Thursday afternoon. A front boundary begins to move across the southeast through the end of our week with more moisture coming across the state of Florida. That front boundary will continue to move east, and we could see another one entering the southeast early next week.
Another dust storm is making news for its remarkable colors. Less than a week after an Australian town turned red, the Greek island of Crete is now orange and yellow. It's all thanks to a dust from the Saharan Desert in North Africa. The dust also disrupted air travel, reduced visibility, and created some unhealthy air quality. As for the color of the sky, the dust filtered out all the colors from the sunlight except the reds and the oranges. That's what you see there. April showers may be on the way, but when conditions are mostly dry, it means fire danger is ripe. Mary Beth Maindrum reports from Northwest Georgia on how firefighters are reminding people to take precautions so things don't get out of control.
We haven't had rain for over a week, and we just need a little bit of moisture because things are just crunchy and crispy right now. And just one spark, and we're going to have a huge wildfire here, and we just really want to avoid that.
The Fire Prevention Education Team, which is made up of members of the Georgia Forestry Commission and the U.S. Forest Service, are working to spread the word in Northwest Georgia. Whether it's a campfire or debris burning, officials say that most fires are started by people.
We're here sharing the message that only you can prevent wildfire. This is what Smokey Bear has taught us for 81 years. And it really is important because 9 out of 10 fires are caused by people.
According to the National Weather Service, there's an increased chance for fire because of low humidity and windy conditions.
We're in and coming up on an extreme drought. And that presents some very interesting fire scenarios.
Chief Matt Daniel with the Dalton Fire Department says a dry spring could lead to a higher chance of sparks.
We actually encourage our residents to adhere to the city's yard trimming and rubbish waste disposal. That way they don't have to burn anything.
When it comes to wildfires, a Colorado business is turning to a unique solution to help mitigate the risk. Goats. Rachel Ramsey reports.
Nature's lawnmower. These goats may not realize it. They just want to eat. But they're helping protect Colorado from wildfires. Hi, Mimis. Owner of Goat Mowers, Kim Jones, says each one of her 250 goats can eat up to 10 pounds of leaves a day.
And they'll bring that fire canopy up 7 to 9 feet off the ground,
And the Southern Colorado business owner says they'll do it way quicker and better than you.
One customer said in 2 days the goats did what he'd been trying to accomplish in 7 years.
With the warm, dry weather we're having this year, Jones says business is booming.
It's going to be our best year ever.
And I'm told while these goats are helping prevent fires, they're also bringing other benefits to the environment.
They're doing invasive weed control. Their hooves massage the soil, and they actually are keeping water in the soil. Their mouths are eating down the vegetation so that the sunlight, the oxygen, and the moisture can get into the soil. On the back end, they're leaving that to fertilize your ground.
When it comes to emissions,
much less than what if you're out there using a tractor or using a lawnmower. I think all of us are concerned about our environment. We love this beautiful state that we live in.
On top of being eco-friendly, Jones says the goats bring the community together.
It is absolutely amazing how much they stop and they want to learn about the goats.
She stresses the importance of fire mitigation, saying it can save homes.
We're in fire season all year long. It takes all of us working together.
And Goat Mowers is working to provide fire mitigation one bite at a time.
Interesting there. It's not just wildfire season in areas around Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's spring migration season for the birds, and that includes the sandhill crane. Eric Peterson reports.
March does mean migration. I mean, it really kicks into effect in March. We started seeing, cranes coming back at the end of February again this year, and they had to get through that little blizzard we just had. But we saw a bunch of migrants before the blizzard, but a lot of them now are moving through the property.
Navarino Nature Center director and naturalist Tim Ewing says sandhill cranes stand about 5 feet tall and have a wingspan of 5 to 7 feet. They have reddish-gray feathers and a signature red stripe on the head.
That's as close as you're going to get probably ever seeing a pterodactyl. They have the two calls, the unison call that pairs will make, and then they also have the guard call.
Ewing says during the day, the big birds typically roam the farm fields that surround the 15,000-acre wildlife area south of Shawano.
They can do damage to farm fields. Right now they're getting the insects in the waste grain. In particular, when they're doing the damage is going to be more after they've started planting. Cranes like to go right down those rows after they've been planted, and they can eliminate a lot of corn that's coming up. There is some incentives out there at times for crop damage for farmers.
Ewing says the cranes will soon be nesting in places like Pikes Peak Flowage. He says bird watchers from around the state are calling.
Earlier I was telling them that they weren't quite all here, but now we're approaching that we've got, we've got some numbers to see. You're not just coming to see, 10 or 20 or 30 now. We're starting to get into the hundreds.
This week marks 3 years since an EF3 tornado tore through Little Rock, Arkansas. The storm left lasting damage, and Autumn Foltz spoke with the city leaders who say progress and recovery are still ongoing.
3 years after the devastating tornado ripped through Little Rock, signs of progress are everywhere, but so are reminders of what was lost. Mayor Frank Scott Jr. says the city has come a long way.
I still remember March 31st, 2023, but I'm so hopeful because of the resilience and the strength of Little Rock that we showed during that time, but also during the recovery.
The city has invested millions into recovery, including a $20.8 million federal grant to help homeowners rebuild. Programs will soon be open for residents to apply for housing assistance, which covers everything from repairs to demolition. Scott says the focus has been clear from the start.
Well, our priority is always the people of Little Rock, and particularly the people that were most impacted by the tornado.
Infrastructure projects are also moving forward, including Fire Station 9, which was destroyed in the storm and is now about 75% complete. Neighborhoods and parks across West Little Rock are also seeing major improvements with new trees, facilities, and even plans for a $7.5 million safe room.
It doesn't always take a tornado for strong winds to form. If you've ever noticed the wind pick up on calm days when there's puffy clouds overhead, there is a reason for that. Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains.
Hello everyone, meteorologist Kit Alexander here, and during the warmer months we see more fair weather days with those puffy cumulus clouds that we typically expect. But have you ever noticed the winds suddenly pick up as one of those clouds moves overhead on what would otherwise just be a calm day? Well, here's why. As the sun heats the ground, warm air rises in bubbles that we call thermals. So those rising currents, they help to form and feed the cloud. At the same time, air within and around the cloud can cool and begin to sink. So when that cooler or denser air reaches the ground, it spreads outward. And that's what causes those brief gusty winds that you feel. It's a fairly common occurrence, and we'll start noticing it even more as we go into the warmer months.
As we go to break, a look at the tulips blooming next to the bells at the Netherlands Carolyn in Arlington, Virginia, next to the Arlington National Cemetery.
Well, good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Phil Kelly. We're going to continue to see rain across much of the region as a cold front slowly works its way across the Midwest, and that's going to bring drier conditions by the time we get into the weekend, and particularly Easter. Notice we're still near 80 degrees by the time we get to Friday into the Ohio Valley, but much cooler back behind that cold front. Some rain still lingering early into the weekend.
Well, good Thursday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Uchan with a look at your forecast across the region today. And we start off with some showers and storms, parts of Texas weakening as they move to the east. It'll be in the 70s and the 80s, a little breezy at times, humid across the region as well. Friday, we get morning cloud cover, a very mild start to the day, then some sunshine with a little bit of heating. We'll be on the lookout for a few late day thunderstorms, strong to severe possible parts of Texas and Oklahoma.
Hi there, and a happy April 2nd to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. We had a SOG fest of an April Fool's Day around Seattle and Portland, but we're trying for drying today. Showers and sun breaks from Puget Sound through the Willamette Valley. 60s around coastal California and a cool 49 in Salt Lake City. Finally seeing that missing winter snow as we head into early spring from the Continental Divide to the Wasatch today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
April is often seen as one of the best months for oyster easting, and if you live in the Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Virginia areas, eating oysters could be helping the environment. Meteorologist Amy Aronson explains.
They filter water, and they also create habitat for the other species that we Marylanders love to eat, like blue crabs and rockfish. We recycle shells. We go weekly. We have a crew of very strong men who pick up oyster shells, bring them back to our processing facility in Cambridge, Maryland, where they sit outside for a year, let the sun and the rain do all of its work to get rid of all that organic material. And then we actually partner with scientists at the University of Maryland who breed oysters, and the shell and the oyster larva come together on a setting pier and sit for about 2 weeks till the little larvae connect to the shell. Then they're called spat on shell. And then we load them onto a boat and we take them out into the Chesapeake Bay and we plant them where the Department of Natural Resources tells us to.
The Oyster Recovery Partnership has put 11.5 billion oysters back in the bay. In Annapolis, Maryland, I'm Amy Aronson.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Make it a great day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.